My name is Matt Cutter. The brewery is Upslope Brewing Company, and I'm the founder. Upslope Brewing Company, that name came from a phenomenon that happens here on the Front Range where cold air comes from the northwest, moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. It clashes here on the Front Range of Colorado, and the weather turns around. It's instead of going west to east, it goes east to west, up the slope of the Front Range, resulting in big snowstorms that we get here at Boulder. I always like the locality of that word and the chaos that it creates. The brewery started with me putting a second mortgage on my house. God bless my wife. So that was January 2008. And that money got us through to about February 2009. We had leased our equipment. And then right before we almost ran out of money, I found out that I could pull more money out of my house. So I went back and increased the second mortgage. When I moved to Boulder in 1991 from Cleveland, I ended up sampling some of the very early on local brews. It definitely opened my eyes to the possibilities of what beer could taste like. So then, I don't know, my inclination was to start to try to brew it myself, and was homebrewing with my next door neighbor, Rico. And we always had beer in the pipeline. We always had some beer fermenting, some of it carbonating, and some of it, a good mix of it down in our cellars that we were aging and bringing out for friends coming over or parties. The true catalyst was my meeting Danny. Danny had started a brewery down in Ushuaia, Argentina back in 2000, out of a chicken coop out the back of his rental house down in Ushuaia. In the summer of 2007, Danny had met Leslie. Leslie was on a teacher exchange program, and she is from Aurora, Colorado. They fell in love, and then she came back to Colorado, and they were Skyping and emailing, trying to maintain as best as possible their relationship and trying to figure out what the next step would be. Danny came to Colorado for the first time in January 2008, and he put himself out there on an industry website called Pro Brewer. At that point, I was like, okay, I got a business plan, but I've never brewed on and I'm a home brewer, but I've never brewed on a production brew house. I've never built a brewery before. So again, naturally what project managers do, they surround themselves by people who are good at what they are not good at. So here comes Danny. We sit down for a cup of coffee over about 3 hours in Boulder, and his English was pretty rough, better than my Spanish. And in spite of that, we had this understanding, and we had similar values, similar plans for a brewery. I remember looking at him and thinking that here it is. This is the go, no-go, right here. I was like, do you really want this? So we started looking at space, and he had to go back to Argentina. I signed a 1-year lease. He said, so I signed a 1-year lease, I hope you're serious. And he emailed back right away. He's like, I bought my plane ticket. I'll be there in 2 weeks. About a week later, I sold my car. A few days after that, vacated my apartment. I'll see you in a few days. So that's how it started. Put a second mortgage on my house, thanks to my wife, and we started taking this warehouse and carving it out into a brewery. We sourced a cold room from down in Colorado Springs that we found online. We did the floors ourselves. Danny took a jackhammer and we dug our trench drains. We started sourcing sinks and kegs and any kind of equipment that we could buy for a dime on a dollar. Then during the summer started to develop our recipes for our pale ale and our Indian pale ale. Our pale ale, I wanted it to be crisp and clear and dry. The IPA, that style was still emerging, I would say, at that time. As a matter of fact, we were the second brewery to can an IPA in the country. And I really wanted that. as part of our first 2 offerings. So we did 7 pilot batches, homebrew style, in what was this office space, this little office space in front of the warehouse, becoming a brewery. Our IPA, we did 3 different batches and came up with the aha moment that many brewers know after tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. So those 2 they were what we were going to come out with, and I was working on the branding and the licensing and the packaging. Because I kept my day job at that point, I didn't know if I would ever get any income from this business, and I felt that I shouldn't burden a business with a salary for me when it couldn't even support itself yet. Continued with that philosophy for 3 years. Couldn't do that twice in a lifetime. Our environment here is pretty casual. We like to empower our people. You know, hey, we need you to do this. We're not going to micromanage you. Just go forth, and when you have questions, come back and we'll try to figure it out together. It's very collaborative. It's very, very rare that I dictate a decision or a course of action. I guess that's how I treat the employees. I treat them like they work with me, not for me. It sets up this environment where they come to me and they're trying to figure something out, or they know it's a big decision for the company. We'll sit down and collaborate on it, we'll bring more people in, get their opinions. I don't know everything, and I think if I pretended that we wouldn't be half the brewery we are today with 24 beers on tap here. A lot of people know us for our core 4, as we call it, our pale ale, India pale ale, brown ale, and craft lager. We want to show people that can't make it to the tap room our other capabilities as well, how we like to experiment and stretch our legs a little bit. The Lee Hill series, that's something that's only been going on for about 6 months now. And we started out with a barrel-aged brown ale. It was fantastic. And very limited quantities, only released out of the tap room. A wild saison that we packaged in 19.2 ounce bomber cans. Our barrel program is a big part of our future. In moving to Flatiron Park with a 30 barrel brew house, 120 barrel fermenters, and a larger canning line, we then alleviated the burden of production off Lee Hill. So now we get to play. The things that we had always thought about doing for years and had dabbled with specialties, but production always trumped innovation in that environment. So here we go, and the main focus of Lee Hill became innovation, collaborations, barrel aging, sours, using really exciting ingredients. The barrel aging fit right into that, and something that we will continue to build over time. I believe in it. There's so many cool things you can do with barrels and different ingredients. We have pumpkins and cardamom and plums and barrels and 1,000 different yeast strains and 1,000 different kinds of specialty malts and hops that can be citrusy or piney or super bitter. So we have all kinds of knobs and levers to play with, and the possibilities are endless. Yeah, so early on, we couldn't afford a lab and a lab technician and all the equipment that went with it. So we would build quality into the process. It was the process that would drive consistent results as best as we could. Upon building Flatiron Park, lab was definitely in the equation. Danny is a chemist by education. He worked in a lab for a while. Our former head brewer, chemical biologist. A lot of our DNA here is chemistry. Building that lab and putting into place a process that the lab would be following, measuring all the fermenters every single day for microbiology, IBUs, SRM, ABV. We were testing our raw materials. We're testing DO levels, CO2 levels, and on and on and on. What it's helped us with the most, I would say, is yeast management. That it's been something that we've figured out very, very well. And over the last 9 months, our beer has never tasted better. Honest to God, came out of the lab, gave us the best tasting, most consistent beer that we could possibly brew. Time and time again, I go to the canning line, even if it's early in the morning, I pull a can off the line, just the last QA check, and it's always been great results the last 12 months or so, I'd say. Colorado is a very competitive craft beer market. It's something pushes us to produce the most consistent, highest quality beer on the planet. And Colorado has developed its own brand as, I've heard Napa Valley of beer and these kinds of terms. But you bet when we go out of the state, we're talking to distributors or just consumers, they'd be like, oh, so where are you guys from? And we'd say, yeah, we're from Colorado. And they'd be like, wow. Can I try your beer? It definitely follows with that, this reputation. If we had started, maybe in a less sophisticated craft beer market, I don't think our beer would be as good as it is because we wouldn't be pushed the levels that we are in Colorado. So in 2009, we had been brewing beer for about 10 months. We entered 5 beers at the Great American Beer Festival, and 2 of those 5 medaled. That blew us away. It was like, wow, maybe we're onto something here. It was confirming of that passion that we started with. In 2010, we kind of waltzed in the Great American Beer Festival. How many medals are we going to get this year? And nothing. Oh, so we were humbled by that, and that was a good thing. So since then, in our 6 years, we have 6 medals from the Great American Beer Festival, something we're very, very proud of. In 2012, we brewed and sold 5,600 barrels. Flatiron Park came online in February 2013. As a result, we grew 109% year over year to about 12,000 barrels. This year, probably around between 18 and 19,000 barrels we'll end up producing. We have only been outside the state of Colorado for 1.5 years now, and that was by design. We wanted to be established as a Colorado brewery first and foremost, be strong in our backyard, be well known in our backyard, be Colorado's brewery. So having just crossed the line of regional brewer status back in October, something that was our goal in the first 7 years. We wanted to be a regional brewer. We did it in less than 6. So now we want to grow deep in the Rocky Mountain region is our primary focus. Here in the tap room, you see everybody having conversations, over a pint, and you're looking at the pint, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the brown ale, and look at them drinking a brown ale. That's pretty cool. We got a couple of awards for that at the Great American Beer Festival. You notice in the tap rooms, we don't have any screens in here. We don't have any televisions. That's very important to us. We have people that come in and meet all kinds of people right here at the bar that maybe that wouldn't happen if there was, if there were TVs in the room, and kids are in here and dogs, and it's this great kind of pub atmosphere. Sometimes you see somebody, reading a book at the bar, and grabbing a magazine and sitting down, or having a meeting. We have a lot of people that come in here and they have meetings. I love that. I love that this is the local tavern. It's a local meeting place. When I see Leslie, I'm like, this is all you're doing, Leslie. If the two of them had never met, Danny and I would have never met, and we wouldn't be sitting here.